Hi, good morning. I can't stand to turn off the camera for longer than a few minutes. It's still 6:41. My drop time in Hayward was 7 a.m. I was so glad they let me just drop the trailer. That means I put the trailer there, put the landing gears down, disconnected all my hoses, and unlatched my geez, I should know all these terms like this. I used to. Unlatched my fifth wheel and left the trailer there so they could unload it right in the little dock. I'll take a video of it when I get back. So now I'm heading into the city, and I'm going over the Oakland Bay Bridge. It's the bridge between it's not the Golden Gate, which is over there, but the Oakland Bay Bridge is between San Francisco and Oakland, the East Bay. And I used to live here in the East Bay when I had the kids, and I would commute this every single morning to commute them to school. The kids went to Catholic school. They're still going to that same school in San Francisco because their father lived in San Francisco. I lived in the East Bay, and I raised them full-time as a full-time mom, and mostly in the East Bay until they were almost 5 and 6 years old as a full-time mommy. That was my second career. But when they started going to school, it ended up they're going to school in San Francisco, and it was so I had a blast commuting them though. I mean, you would think you're commuting them to school, but we did a lot of stuff in the morning and in the afternoons. You talk a lot. I just had a blast when I was doing that. The children's father had them for 1 week, and then I had them for another week, and they loved that schedule too. I think in all divorce cases it should be that way. I'm gonna talk about this later, of course. But what I meant to tell you this was because it just reminded me. They're building a new Bay Bridge, the old Bay Bridge. I'm waiting in line right now to pay the toll, and I'm not gonna I pay that toll, and I don't get reimbursed, and I don't even ask to get reimbursed by Pride for doing this. This is personal time. They shouldn't be paying for me paying this toll to bobtail it over the bridge to go see my kids. Also, it's for the CSA rules. This is personal conveyance. It means when I dropped in Hayward, I put myself on personal conveyance, which means I'm going to do something personal, go into the city, and go back out. And I'm as long as it's only 15 minutes, and it is in either direction. So I like this personal conveyance thing that Pride does. I am in compliance. It's just personal conveyance. This isn't work. So on my electronic logs, it just says personal conveyance, and this is totally within compliance. I'm pretty sure. I mean, Pride is very picky about being compliant about that. So the CSA rules, and the logbooks and everything are all legit on this. I'm just going into the city, visit my kids, go back, and then when I get back out there and when I hook up and do all that, I'll be back on time. And I have, since yesterday, I've gotten a new load assignment. They're very busy right now at Pride, and the load assignment said I'm going to pick up some meat frozen meat at Costco and Tracy and take it up to Sumner, Washington. This is a typical little route. I might try to do this route dedicated wise, meaning I come home very often. But for now, I'm new. I just do whatever they tell me to do, and later on I could ask for a more consistent route where I'm home more often to see the children. But for now, when I first started to work for Pride, they trained me, and you have to commit to 6 months of work after you're done training, and I haven't even completed that yet. And you sign that thing. So I'm keeping my promise. And then once I do that 6 months, I could, I get more pay, and I could also, start to ask for a little bit more home time and stuff like that. For now, I just feel reluctant to do that. But while I'm on the bridge, and the reason I turned on the camera, I usually get around to my point eventually, is I used to commute the children every morning when they were living with me for that 1 week, Monday to Monday. When they were living with their father, I was just at home trying to get a job at the time, and I'll tell you more about that and how I got into trucking and why. But when they were with their dad, I didn't see them for that week. But then I'd pick them up school on Monday, and for that whole week I would commute in the morning and commute in the afternoon and bring them home. But while they're building a new Oakland Bay Bridge, and while they were doing that, they had to do some kind of a funny construction on the old bridge. They did this really sharp turn in the bridge. Like every day I'm used to doing 50 over the bridge. Vroom, vroom, And all of a sudden, you know, one day it's saying, okay, you have to do 40 miles an hour now, because it doesn't say anything. It just says, you know, there's one little sign that said curve ahead 40 miles an hour. I'm not paying any attention whatsoever to that. Everybody does 10 miles an hour above 50 anyway, so everybody's doing 60 over the bridge. So I slow it down a little to 55. You know, I'm just being honest. And I almost went over the edge of that bridge. Okay, I thought that was a very dangerous curve. Let me get moving. I'm gonna pay my toll. Oh shoot. How much? How much is it?
$15.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't roll my window all the way down. I hope you can reach. Oh, great. Because I have this camera here. I didn't. Ah, thank you. All right. Ow. Ow. Okay, so just so you guys know, having the camera on the window, I'm not sure about that being. I should have put it up. Maybe I should put it up higher is the thing. Because I roll down my window all the time when I'm backing in the docks, and now I can't do that. So I have to. Okay, I'll fix it somehow. I just have it on the window, and then I didn't realize that I use the window often when I'm back, especially when I'm backing in the docks. You have to, like, a lot of guys open their door, and that's kind of cool too. But I mean, I usually just look out back, roll my window down all the way, and look out the window. So I'm not, that receipt's going in the trash because I'm not gonna get reimbursed for that. It's $15, and I'm just bobtailing. It's probably more with the trailer, but I see some trucks coming into San Francisco. I feel for them because that's rough. So anyway, I'm going over, and I do a 40 mile an hour, you know, I'm doing a 40 mile an hour curve at 55 in my minivan, and I'm like, whoa! I mean, it wasn't like I almost went over. It was just like it was just surprising that the curve surprised me the first time I went over it like that. So I thought that was a bit dangerous, and I thought it was mismarked. I mean, it should have been. I mean, yeah, you could maybe in a perfect world, when people do the speed limit, you might be able to take that curve at 40 kind of safely. But you know, nobody's doing that. Nobody's used to it. And a week later, a truck driver went off the edge of that curve and died with his truck. Okay, and this was and since then, and I remember reading in the news, and I said, you know, I almost did that too. And a lot of times it's always the truck driver's fault, and it is. I mean, they blame the truck driver. I know that. And a lot of times it's true. You're usually speeding, and he was probably speeding. He was probably doing, even if he was doing 45 in a truck, that's still too fast for that curve. And since then, it's funny because I went to trucking school a year later, and he's talking about this accident and how the trucker was speeding and all this stuff. And I said, you know what? I think in that case, I would have, if they had asked me to come to court, I would have not. It's not. Yeah, I would say it's partially the trucker, whatever. You have to be careful, but I would say that was a mislabeled. You know, nobody took it. Nobody actually. And the reason I'm having this rant is because I came over Donner Pass yesterday, and I'm not sure if you guys know about Donner Pass. It's like a big hill. It's a big hill. It's not a hill. It's like a mountain that comes down in the Sierra Nevadas, and you climb over it, coming over from Nevada, Donner Pass, and come down into California. And it's like the longest downhill in the country, or something, like 40 miles of downhill. And it's not that it's that steep. It's only 8,000 feet or something like that, or 7,800 feet. It's just that it's such a long downhill that a lot of people burn their brakes. And it's, you know, it's 6% grade, 5% grade, most of it, but it's just so long that by the time, you know, that you get done, it's just famous for burning a lot of brakes. So you have to be careful coming over Donner Pass. But I thought that there were a lot of signs mismarked on Donner Pass as well. So that's why I'm on the subject of markings and how, and everything always goes to male female for me. I tried to set that up yesterday, gender balance, and I think a lot of this was done by men who I don't think they test things as much. Like, they put this over the bridge, and this is what men do. They'll get on their little computer, and everything will come out, and a little calculation will say 40 miles an hour, and then they won't actually get in a darn truck or a car or see what real people like me do and go over. And if they just tested it once, they would have seen they would have seen me, and I would have said, no, you got to mark that a little bit more, slow it down to 35 or 30, and like flash it, because everybody's used to going straight and fast. And you're going to have a ton of cars doing what I did. You know, because I did this every day, and all of a sudden there's this change, and it's a pretty sharp curve, and there's just one little marking that says, oh, 40, we're going to just slow down the speed limit, no markings or anything. And if they had just tested it just once, you know, it would have saved this guy's life. I'm pretty sure of that. It would have been 35. So now here comes all the lawsuits and everything. This guy died, so now everybody's going to try to, you know, for a while when I worked for an accident, a guy who investigated accidents. It was mostly carbon monoxide poisonings, but we did some car accidents and we did other things. And a lot of accidents, you find out, is not just one thing went wrong. It's usually 2 or 3 things went wrong, and then the accident happened. So, you know, a couple of, and then also another thing I learned from working with this accident scientist guy in Berkeley is, you know, all the insurance companies come in, and now it's a matter of spreading the blame on money and insurance and things, like 50% blame here, 20% there, whatever. So here comes the blame game. Who's at fault? And they usually point at the driver, of course. And it usually is, of course, it's going to be partially their fault. You know, if you're an accident, no matter what, you know, unless it's something really outstanding. So in that case, I would have put quite a bit of blame on that. But since then, you can hear, oh, the driver this, the driver that. But the funny thing is that one sign that says 40 miles an hour is still up over here, but now you have all these flashers and all these, you know, you have rumple strips and all these markings that say 35 miles an hour and flashing lights and everything. But that one sign that says 40 is still up there, like they're holding on to that. They're trying to you know, minimize liability for that. But but I think it was just a matter of a bunch of men. You know, women might have a tendency to test it a little bit more than the men on that one for the safety, and sometimes they go overboard. I mean, you could over-test, and you could overdo safety too. You know, it gets to be ridiculous. And if you had all women doing it, we'd never get the darn bridge built. Okay, so I love genre balance because there's good and bad, but I think in that case, men sometimes need. And I've worked with a lot of men in science before, and they really do just love their little computers, and they love, you know. If you observe something in the lab and it disagrees with what's on their computer, I will 9 times out of 10 go with what you actually observed, and they will 9 times out of 10 go with the computer, whatever the numbers were spit out. You know, it's just like, so that's guys, and that's fine. They're very good at computing, and they're very good at that. But just get out there and test it, guys, a little bit more, because that one was extremely avoidable, and they could have really saved the life on that one. I mean, it could have avoided that accident. It was a truck driver. He came around and it just pulled him over. He was coming around from the other side, by the way. It wasn't the same side as my side, but it's the same theory. It was like everybody is used to going over a straight ridge, doing 10 miles an hour above the speed limit. Like the speed limit is 50, and everybody's doing 60, going straight. And all of a sudden, there's this kink one morning in the middle of the bridge that's pretty sharp. And nothing really, and now you have signs. So, I mean, now they're up and everything, but that could have. So, I was talking about Donner Pass, and what I noticed is that none of the men who put up those signs for percent grades and all that tested it. Because I'm going over this grade, and one thing they don't do is, if you're going to mark what the grades are, like they'll say 2 miles of 6% grade ahead, and I love that. But first of all, it has to be accurate, and not all of those are accurate. Like one place said 7% grade, and the first time I went over that, it said 7% grade ahead. I went, 7%? I started downshifting way in advance, and I'm going over this thing. It's not 7%. I don't even think it's 5%. And if it is 7%, it's for like 100 feet. So it was like a boy who cried wolf thing. You begin to say, what? That wasn't a 7% grade. I mean, they need to be accurate and consistent. It's almost like every city along the way has their own method of using the signs. So there's some places where it says 6% grade for 2 miles, and I'm going, okay, now it's really time to downshift. You know, that's pretty, especially with the heavy load and all this. So I like that information, but it has to be accurate. And there are some parts in that 40-mile stretch where nothing is marked. And I am like, whoa! I mean, not this time, because now I know it. But that's dumb. The first time or the first few times through there, I am speeding. I said, this is 6% grade. This is 5%, and they didn't mark it. So if you're going to start marking the grades, you need to mark the grades for the hills on the entire run. There's like a 3-mile stretch that's got to be 5 or 6% grade, where I was like, I said I wish I had downshifted on this one, because I'm just going to start to fry my brakes on this. So that ticked me off a little bit, and I think it was just a matter of getting some real truckers out there. It doesn't take much, just a day to go over and read the signs. Oh, I'm passing under a tunnel right now. Oh, I should have filmed it. Well, the new bridge is pretty. Oh, when I'm in a tunnel, I stop talking because I'm used to, I don't know why, I'm used to my radio going off, and for some reason I think I'm transmitting a signal. So, okay, I'm going to try, I talk politics a lot, you notice, and that is my hobby, and I'll try to keep that down, but I am going to try to keep things to trucker, and I thought that was very trucker related, is the signs. And this accident that happened a couple years ago here on this bridge, and my personal involvement in it. Before I was a trucker, I was just a mother trucker. There's actually somebody online called Mother Trucker. And I thought, no, I'm not going to use that handle. I like Nico Young, the truck driver. Trucking by day, saving the world by night. My handle online, because I used to blog a lot and leave a lot of comments at usatoday.com. That's wonderful. You can leave, I used to go there every single day, read all their newspaper articles and comment on anything and everything that would give me my attention and everything. I loved doing that, and a lot of the journalists appreciated my comments, because I had some really good insight on a lot of this stuff. And it's just a wonderful way of doing media and internet and all the connection we have is just a wonderful way of doing business nowadays for journalism and everything. Because in the old days, they used to just do a newspaper article, and then if there was a mistake, it would take a day, and then they wouldn't retract it, and people weren't there. But now, a journalist will try to write something online, and there's like 10 people who were there who will correct him on a lot of facts and things. Or there's a lot of people who are more expertise than the journalist, and it just comes up online, and it's a wonderful, wonderful world that we're living in now, where we can do this kind of stuff. But I used to make these comments like, my theory that Hitler was a closeted gay man, and that's a source of a lot of hatred and anger, and therefore we need to legalize gay marriage, accept gay people, and therefore decrease. I say the fastest path to, sustained world peace, which is my big thing for saving the world, is acceptance of homosexuality by everybody, because it's not just 10% of the population that's going to benefit from legalizing gay marriage and giving gays their civil rights and everything like that. It's the whole world that's going to benefit. So even if you're not gay, it doesn't mean you can't be involved in this issue. It's really a big deal, and I was very happy when Carrie Underwood, of all people, because I comment online a lot, and I have a feeling that my participation in that helped, because her people, or she would read maybe something, or somebody read something around her. So I go online, and then I could tweet her right away. Yay, Carrie, go girl, you just made my day, whatever it is. I'm one in a million comments that follow her or whatever. I don't follow her, but there's a ton of comments that comes in. And if I could contribute to that was wonderful. So when Carrie Underwood came out and said that she respects and supports, same-sex marriage, it was just made my day. I just love that kind of stuff. And that all happens online. So, and I, what harm in me believing that I had a little tiny bit to do with that, just pushing that a little bit. And now we're one step closer to sustained world peace. Anyway, so that's the whole point. I'm glad I do this, but the reason I'm saying this, I'm coming full circle, is I would make these comments like that online, and somebody would say, "You're a crazy nut job." I always got this from other people online, "You're a crazy nut job." So because I have a PhD, I would always answer them, "Hey, buddy, that's Dr. Crazy Nut Job to you." And I would do that for a long time until I finally just became Dr. Crazy Nut Job. Okay, so online, I'm H. Nicole Young, but I always sign off sometimes when I say something particularly nutso, I'll say, "Hey, and that's Dr. Crazy Nut Job to you." So, I might be a crazy nut job, but I've got my PhD. So, you better respect that and call me doctor. So right now, I am in San Francisco. We just passed the bridge. Hi, Jojo. And I'm passing San Francisco County Jail. I've spent many a months in jail there. and I'm getting off, and I'll talk to you about that. I'm going to tell you about my criminal history later. Let me get to where I'm going. I'm going to the Starbucks Midtown. I'm done talking to
Is on 40 mile. Keep to the right on US 101 North, Golden Gate Bridge, and then keep to the right at 0.7 miles.
Okay. All right. So, you know, I can't keep you off for longer than I might have to buy another card. Okay. What are we on? Number 1? I'm still on number 1. Plenty of time. I'm going to talk your ear off. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye. Have a good 10 minutes.